welcome to 4-H. This is our first project for our 2020 year for September. And we are going to teach you guys how to make protective masks. And these are with your own personality. So here's an example. This is mine. It fits right on your nose. And then the loop goes over your ear and you have your adjustable cord lock in the back. Okay. So it's pretty comfortable and very adjustable. So this is what we're going to show you how to do. So I've sent a copy of the instructions. The link is in the email that I sent you last week. So I'll just go through it from the top. And if you have questions, we're going to have a Zoom meeting on Thursday and we'll talk about it. So first you need a square of cotton fabric, 8 inches by 14 inches. This is the adult size, which I have here. You can adjust the size any way you want. The small youth, 7 by 12 is definitely small. Maybe up to age 7-ish, so that's pretty small. Our corner loops, I'm going to show you how to make them out of the fabric to match your mask. But you can also make them out of ribbon, which makes it quicker and easier. We need a pipe cleaner. I got these from Walmart, super cheap and easy, and I just pinch them and twist them so it's double layer, and it gets a little bit stronger by twisting them. So there is my little nose wire that will fit right here and mold to my nose. Okay, then we need paracord. So this you can get at Smith & Edwards. I've got the address or the information on the instructions. I would say if you get paracord that has it's round and it has a core, I pull the core out because that makes it easier so you can fit these two ends into your cord lock. Okay, so this is garbage. And the other option is you can actually use elastic in the same place as the cord, and it just makes it even more adjustable. You can also create an ear loop, so it just hangs behind your ear, and that's what you see on most masks. Okay, so there's quite a few options. You can do what you guys want to do. So that's, oh, and then here's the cord locks. They look like this with a little compressible little spring. Those are 25 cents at Smith & Edwards. So that's your materials, and so we're going to go ahead and get started on your instructions. And it talks about cutting it out, and if you're doing a lot of masks, you can get 5 on a width of fabric and then still have a little bit of scraps to do your little corner tabs. So I'll skip to page 3. These are the corner tabs. I'll show you how to make this because this might be a little bit confusing. So you're gonna just press your little strip, and let me grab my Stitch Witchery. So Stitch Witchery comes, it's about 1/2 inch wide, maybe it's 3. I've split this. Okay, it's about 1/2 inch wide. Okay, I've cut mine lengthwise to be skinnier because I just don't need it to be that wide. So I fold this little strip of fabric in 1/3 of the way. Okay, and then I fold the other side in 1/3 of the way, so it kind of almost meets the edge. And this iron has steam. It makes everything quicker and easier if you have steam. Okay, so this is folded in thirds, just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to take this little piece of Stitch Witchery. Now I know I only need about 6 inches, and you just break it with your fingers. Only need about 6 inches of this stuff for my one mask, so I'm only going to make a short piece. Okay, and I just press that in. That sticks it all together. Okay, and I'm going to let that cool a minute. And move this over here. Okay, now I'm going to cut my tab pieces. They only need to be 1.5 inches long. So I snap off the very edge, and then note this ruler shows an extra 1/2 inch, so I just have to go to the 1 inch mark right here and take that off. Another way you can do it is each square is 1 inch. These lines are 1.5 inches. You can just do this, and so you've got your 1.5 inch pieces. So you do not have to be super accurate on these. You can cut a lot of these really fast. Okay, so that's what we have. This is just extra left over. So now we are already to the bottom. That finishes up bottom of page 4. So we're going to go on to page 5. So the way I do it is I match these short ends, the 8-inch ends, and we are going to stitch 1.5 inches to here and 1.5 inches to here, leaving an opening in the middle approximately 5 inches wide. So we're going to take a break and go to the sewing machine. Okay, we are using a 1/4 inch seam on the machine, and I know that my needle in the center position, 1/4 inch takes me to this line on my foot right here. So I can move this little gauge out of the way now, and I know I'm going to the edge of the metal and the plastic. That will be the edge of my fabric. So remember, we need to back stitch because we don't want it to come undone. Okay. Okay, now you only have to eyeball that 1.5 inches. It really doesn't make a lot of difference. And you want to backstitch again to make sure you have that you're strengthened just before you have a big opening. Okay, then I slide down here, backstitch again. Backstitch at the end. Okay, so now we can clip all of those threads, and right there. So we've created an opening just like this, and that matches your page 5 of your instructions. Okay, next we need to go and press it so that we can get ready to insert our tabs. Okay, we are now going to do some pressing after we've sewn. Remember, you always press it flat to set your stitches. Okay, then per our instructions, top of page 5, we want to iron the seam allowances all to one side. So I spread it out a little and I just iron it just to the bottom. Now I did explain in the instructions that if you have directional fabric, you want to iron it towards the bottom of your directional fabric. That's shown in the PDF the Google Doc I sent you. Okay, at this point, this becomes the top of our mask. The direction that your seam allowances are going this way, so this becomes the top. And I just push it right there. So now we have 1/4 inch seam allowance and approximately 1/8 of an inch beyond, so it's approximately 3/8 of an inch. And I just press that in place. And then I slide down and I press the other side in, so we get a nice crease. Okay, we now have the body of our mask, just like that. And actually I just noticed this fold isn't perfect right there, so I'm going to back up and do that again. Okay, now we want this fold to be about 1/4 of an inch, and this can happen, so don't worry, and just do it again if you need to. Okay, that looks better. Okay, now you can see we've got our opening and our folds. Okay, now we're going to press this nice and flat, and then press down here nice and flat. Okay, at this point we are going to go to the top of page 7 in the instructions. So we take our tabs and we are going to fold them in half, and there might be a little bit of strings to them, just pull those off. That's the cut edge of the fabric. We want that on the inside. You really can't see it, it doesn't matter too much. So you have your fold here, your cut here, and that slips right in between, right at the very edge. Okay, you can see it right there. Okay, so I'm going to clip it. Actually, I'm going to pin it in place. I prefer to pin it. Okay, so that's in place. We need to repeat that on all 4 corners. So we take our tab. Now this can be a 1.5 inch piece of ribbon as well. That's probably even quicker and easier. And you can match it to the cording, your fabric, or just do whatever you like to do. Okay, so I've got that pushed all the way into the corner, and I'm going to pin that one. Then we just do the same thing on the bottom corners. Slide it right into the corner. And here's our last one. Slip in between the layers, go right into the corner. Remember, your fold goes on the inside and your outside is all the cut edges. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the sewing machine. Now we're back at the sewing machine. We're going to stitch our tabs in place and stitch our side seams. So we want to start a little bit in so we can do our back stitch. Okay, and now we just go ahead and stitch it. Those tabs are in place, so we know they're not going to move. Okay, pull that away and clip it. Okay, clip that. And clip these other threads. Okay, now we are going to go to the top of page 9 where we get to turn it right side out. This is one of the fun parts, so enjoy it. And remember how we usually do corners when we have to get a corner poker? We don't have to do that on this project because we have these tabs, and if you pull them, it makes your corners just pop out perfectly. So you just grab the tab and pull it, and you have these beautiful, perfect corners. Okay, so there we are. At this point, I just kind of finger press these sides. You can take it to the ironing board and press them, but it works just as easy to do that. Now I can make it pretty nice and flat right there. Okay, now I have this opening up here, and this is where I'm going to insert my nose wire right here. So remember, I just twisted that pipe cleaner in half. I think it gives it a little bit of strength to do that. And so we slide it in. I like to go the non-cut end, the bent end first because it slides in easily. And then I get cut end. And then I center it, and I just do it by feel. So I'm going to move it a little bit that way. So I can feel it's about 1 inch on either side. So I do a pin so that I know it won't move side to side. Okay, and then we want to sandwich it in right there. So I know I'm going to be stitching this direction. Let's see. Right? Yeah. I have to remember how to do that so I know which way to put my pins. Okay. We're just mostly getting that wire in there. Okay, see how nice that looks? Next thing I do is I change to this zipper foot. You might be able to use another foot, but for me this was the quickest, easiest method. So, this one has just one toe to it. Okay. And I put my pins the wrong way because that's how it works, right? We always put them the wrong way. I'll just switch them quickly. That one didn't take too long. Okay, we're going to start at the end to create that end so it doesn't slide too far side to side. And we're going to be back stitching. I just want to make sure that my wire is over far enough because I have hit the wire and broken the needle before. We know you don't want to do that. So we back up a few stitches, then we go forward. Okay, we're coming right to the corner, the edge of the fabric, and we're going to rotate it. And I'm just watching that I'm getting on that fold. Sometimes you kind of need to push it with your finger. Do you guys hear that sound of the needle? Kind of like it's punching through. Kind of sounds strange. I just barely changed this needle, but you know what? I think it's not sharp, and I think that happens sometimes. You get a needle that's not quite sharp enough. So before I finish this project, I'm going to change my needle. Okay, we're going to take a break. Some trimming the threads, and I'm going to change my needle before we go to the next step. Okay, now we're back to the ironing station. We've completed through the top of page 11. So we've sewn that casing in to hold our nose wire in place. You can see how it'll bend just like that. So now we want to make it nice and flat. We only finger press these edges before. Now it's time to really press them. So I'm just going to make those nice and sharp creases. We want a sharp crease on the bottom. Sharp crease there. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now it's time to pleat. So the method I use, these dimensions have just worked out for me. So don't look at this side. 1 1/4 inches right here on my seam gauge. From here to here is 1 1/4 inches. So this is the top side. I turn it upside down, and I actually like to just slide that underneath and move it until I see it lines up from my view straight down to the edge of that green. So that is right there. And then I do the same thing at the other end. Just slide it till it hits that point. Okay, now I put a nice crease in it. Okay. Now we're going to go to the top of page 12. Here we need a 3/4 inch, and this is basically half of 1 1/4, right? So there's your 3/4 inch mark. And now we're going to flip it, and we're going to slide this underneath until it lines up right there with that green. And now I just make the clip through all layers. And this is going to, I need to slide this way to give it a little bit more movement. Okay, that lines up with the green. I make that clip go through all of it. Okay, so now I can iron that one in place. That one's not as technical. Next pleat, we just fold it in half and match the top and bottom edges. Okay, we're going to throw the clip on there and there, and just put a little bit of crease on that. And now we want to do the same 3/4 inch. Okay, so that's going to go in there. This one will go here. So see how it looks kind of even, but not perfectly even? It kind of creates a little zigzag. So we'll press those pleats in place. Get everything pressed nice. And now we go back to the sewing machine to finish it off. Now we're ready to stitch our pleats in place. We come back to the sewing machine. Now it says use 1/8 inch. It really doesn't matter. You just need to be semi-close to the edge, okay? And it is kind of hard to get that tab to move. So I'm going to use a little stiletto. I'm going to move this out of the way. This stiletto will help me kind of push that extra bolt through. Okay. Now I'm just going to sew straight down the side. And these are pressed in place so they stay pretty well. You kind of have to pull on it because it's a lot of layers. And then I just get to the bottom of that that last pleat, I take one stitch, easiest to do it by hand, and then I bring it back, and we're going to go back up the other way. I'm going to have to push it a little because we have so much bulk there. If you use a thread that is not really noticeable, it's going to hide your boo-boos better. I do recommend you do that because no one really sews perfectly straight all the time. Okay, then I'm just going to go kind of meet up with this end so I can trim the threads. Okay, so now we just grab the threads and we're going to trim really close because this part's going to be seen, and then we can trim on the back side, and you can see the thread isn't perfectly flat or straight there, but don't worry, it's okay, no one will notice that. Okay, now we're ready for the other end. Just stop right below that pleat down there, so we're just going to start there because we're doing a mirror image on the other side. I think I might need a little help to get that to move because it's so much thickness. All right, now we trim this. All right, we've completed the sewing portion. You can see how it's pleated. So this can tuck under your chin. This goes right over your nose. And these tabs will hold the cording. So there's a few options you can do at this point. I'm going to show you the options in my instructions, and we'll discuss with you a few more options in a little bit. I choose to cut my cord 48 inches long. That's just a number I came up with that worked for many different sizes. You can experiment. As I mentioned before, I pulled the center out of the paracord because it just creates bulk. But I've got two ends here that need to be sealed so that they don't fray, okay? So the easiest thing is a lighter, but please do this possibly in your kitchen with parent supervision. When I was doing a whole bunch of them, I had a little metal bowl and I put a votive candle in the bowl, and I was able to just stick these in the flame. It was easier. I could do a whole bunch of them, and I feel like that was safer. Okay. You're just going to stick it in this flame for just a second. Okay. Also, another option is to use the same amount of elastic. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility, kind of makes it easier so that you only set your cord lock once and you don't ever have to adjust again. So I'm going to see if I can get this started easier. This is why you need an adult, because hopefully your adult is stronger. Okay, it's just a tiny bit of touching that just close to the flame just to make it so it won't unravel. Okay. Okay, so I have two options. I'm going to go ahead and do the cording option, but we'll also talk to you in a little bit about if you just want to make the ear loops. Okay, so for my instructions, I do believe we are now on the top of page 15. The way I like to do it is, remember, this is the top where the nose wire is. I thread a piece of cording straight down. And just so you know, this pattern was developed originally when we could not get any elastic anywhere. Everywhere was sold out. You couldn't get it online for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I came up with the cording because elastic was not available. So that's how this whole thing was born. This idea was born. But like I say, elastic is now more readily available, so you can do that. So I put one in at a time. That one goes in pretty easy. If I have any trouble with this one, sometimes I will use a stylus or something to push it through. That helps. So you make the ends even. I just tie a knot at the end, just so that cord lock does not slip off after you went to all the work to put it on. Okay. All right. So that's complete. Let me show you how you put it on. I'll take this other one off just so you can have the... Okay. So when you want to put it on, the cord lock goes right behind your neck first, centered in the back. Okay. And then your mask, remember, it's the stitched edge right there. That's the wrong side. Okay. The right side just has stitching there. You may want to make a mark on it. I had somebody say if you wear your mask right side out and then wrong side out, you're actually breathing in all the germs on the outside of it. So that's why you may want to make a mark to help you remember. Then this part goes over the top of your head. You can even put it underneath your hair or whatever. And this hooks over the ear. Okay, and this just slides up. I like to hold it right here with my finger. And then I tighten up this back cord. You just compress it and slide it up. I don't do it too tight. And then I kind of use my fingers and I flatten the nose thing to make it nice and comfortable. And I like to have enough space under here that I can breathe so it's not too hot. It's definitely not a medical grade mask, but it is 2 layers of cotton. It's going to be a good barrier. It's not guaranteed to save you from COVID, but it's definitely a comfortable option. As you walk out of the store or wherever you are, you can just slip the loops off the top of your ear and just wear it around your neck, just like this. And then next time you go in somewhere, you hook that back up and it's on. So that's the design I came up with. And I'm going to have Chantel show you some different ideas with putting personality faces on your mask and different ear loops.
Okay, so here is another option for doing your side tabs. These were done with rose grain ribbon, and those were just set in the same way as the fabric tabs were on the other masks. And then these ones have designs already on them. I'm pulling both of these out so you can see the difference in the placement of these two designs. This one, the design is placed higher at the top, about 2 finger lengths below the top of the mask. And this one, I centered it. And what we realized was if you center this, this ends up being around your mouth and just a little bit lower on your chin. So if you want your mask kind of up higher between your mouth and your nose, you're going to want to place the design higher up on your mask. So I'm going to show you how to do that right here. Oh, and when it comes to pleating your mask, you can take a smaller pleat at the top so that you can see this design and just pin it right here. And you'll definitely want to do your pleats after you've ironed on the design. And then at the bottom, I'd recommend you take a much deeper one, but I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go down on this one. So where I went up on the top, I'm going down on the bottom. And this way, you'll just see your design a little bit more clearly.
That is called a box pleat.
So you heard Tammy, that's a box pleat. So to iron on the stuff that I have, it's you want to pre-warm up the spot that you're going to be placing the design on. So, and this design has been in my drawer, so I made sure that the sticky side did not have any hair stuck to it. So I'm going to place this, like I said, 2 inches from the top. And sometimes actually what I like to do is I like to just finger press it in the center so I can actually center the design. And then, like I said, two fingertips from the top. And then this stuff is designed, you can press right on it, but once I've pressed on it for a minute, I'm going to switch and I'm going to just cover it with a piece of muslin, piece of cotton, any excess fabric that you have. And then you're supposed to do this for about 30 seconds, and I'll send you the exact instructions. You are not supposed to use steam. I could hear the steam on my iron. You're not supposed to use steam with these designs. Okay, now once you've done this, you want to flip it over, and you're going to also iron it from the back for about another 20 to 30 seconds. And then once that is done, you want to let it cool for just a minute. I have this little block that I like to put over it, and I'm going to put it over on this side so you can see it. And I will just turn this back on when it's been cooled for about a minute or 2. After about 2 minutes, you can check to see if your design is ready to come off, and it'll just peel pretty clearly off of this. If you have part of the design lifting, re-iron that and let it sit a little longer. Otherwise it should come right off, and then there you've got your design set on your mask. And now at this point you can go ahead and press it one more time with the pressing cloth. So when you're going right over the design, definitely use the pressing cloth, and you just want to give it not too long, maybe 10-15 seconds. Let it cool one more time, and then once it's cooled down, you're good to go. Then you can take it and you can do your pleating. And you may end up losing a little bit of the design in your pleat, but just know that when you pop it out to where it will be totally visible. So even on this one, when you pull it out completely, you'll easily be able to see it. So, all right. And then for the ear things, we talked about you could do a thinner elastic. This is 1/8 of an inch elastic, and it is a little less firm when you're using elastic than the 1/4 inch and has a little more ease stretching. So you could tie an ear strap on, or do one of the other methods with the cord locks. So, and you'd want to measure these to make sure they're fitting the right size for you before you cut them. So, all right, I hope that helps. And I just wanted to mention one more thing. At the end of the instructions, Tammy has included a little description with the washing instructions for the masks. So if you were to make some of these and wanted to give them away or something, this printout could be put along with your masks to give the wearer the instructions on how to care for it and the description of what it has. So that's included at the end of the instructions.